left a trail of destruction. And this is in different parts of Kerala. This is floods as well as landslides. It's geography, it's climate change, it's the way the state is being handled. It's policy, it's action, it's a whole lot of things. But more than me talking about this, I would want to introduce my experts at this point who understand what's really happening on ground zero. I'm being joined by Thomas Lawrence, who's an environmental activist, as well as Dr. Roxy Matthew Cole joins us, who's a climate scientist. Thank you very much, climate scientist with Indian Institute of Tropical Meteorology. Roxy, what's happening, Roxy? Across Kerala, 2018, 2024, 2026, and a whole lot of years in between that as well. Severe flooding, landslides that's wreaking havoc.
Thank you, Sneha, for inviting me to this discussion. In fact, this flood is quite close to me because even my hometown, the area around my house where my parents stay, it got flooded, and they're surrounded by water for the last 2 days. And if you look at how the rainfall manifested, it's quite different from the 2018 conditions. 2018 was like widespread flood across Kerala. This time, and at that time, the reservoir levels were around 90% or more. The season was running on a above normal rainfall. And this time it's a monsoon of contrast that we have had so far. And we were looking at a long-term deficit. Kerala was about around 35%, more than 30% deficit. And all of a sudden we got these extremes at different catchment areas. For example, places like Idukki, Wayanad, and parts of Kannur, Kasaragod, and all. We received extremely heavy rainfall about 150, some places close to 300 millimeter of rain. And this resulted in huge, landslides in some of these areas, and all that water which the hills have soaked in came down, downstream, and it has been, and the flood level is not going down. That's the quite interesting part, because the construction and the infrastructure that we have made is stopping the flood from going down to downstream and to the seas. So we see a combination of extreme rain due to climate change, because whenever the monsoon is strong, it's carrying all that moisture and dumping that moisture in a short time. At the same time, which is being amplified by land use changes, land development, and how we have prepared the environment, which cannot hold this water. There are no floodplains. There are no. There is no open space for the water to sink in or flow out of. So that flood which is happening is prolonged than earlier. And also the landslides. If you talk about the landslides, Kerala about 50% or more of the geography, like you said, have huge slope. So if you have extreme rains over there, and if these slopes, some of these regions could be vulnerable because there has been deforestation going on for long time, land use changes as well. So a combination of this can, make these slopes and hills much more vulnerable. So when heavy rains come, these slopes or the hills cannot hold on anymore. So the rocks and the water, everything comes down as landslides. So we see such a kind of situation arising.
Roxy, you were mentioning about your hometown. Where is your hometown?
Pala, Baranganam. It's in Kottayam.
Pala, and importantly, Pala is an uphill area. It's an uphill area.
Yeah, Pala is somewhere between. So we have Punyar and Idukki Kottayam border, and then the water comes down.
Yes.
So Pala is somewhere in between.
And it's not even like a down area.
It's not downstream. It's not, yeah.
Thomas Lawrence joins us, environmental activist. Thank you very much, Mr. Lawrence, for joining us. What are the scenes that you're seeing around you? Mr. Lawrence, what are the scenes that you're seeing around you?
Basically, in Techno Park, which is one of the big IT parks here.
In Trivandrum, that's the capital.
In Trivandrum, we are advocating not to fill those wetlands out there. In fact, the National Green Tribunal has given them a 15 crore fine, which is the biggest fine for destruction of wetlands in India, I can say that. But still, they are, filling the wetlands, and in the name of development, they are doing all those stuff. So again, one rain, the entire thing is flooded, in Techno Park. So in fact, they have filled a 10-acre pond and its wetlands. That is how we went. We took that case all the way to the Supreme Court, and finally NGT had given them the 15 crore fine. So what is basically happening is they are encroaching on all the floodplains, basically. Then they are destructing hills and filling these wetlands with those. Like in Techno Park, through RTI itself, they have said they have filled the 10-acre pond with 100,000 cubic meters of foreign soil. So even yesterday also we have written, again to the Techno Park authorities, to the CEO, not to destruct, again this wetlands. Then we will have to go back to the court again.
Both of you are from Kerala. Both of you have your own expertise. I want to ask both of you one question. There's optics, there's policy, and there's all sort of things. But then there is hard action, and there's policy that's intended to be turned into action. I want to ask you a very simple, straight question. You have a chief minister now in Kerala who once was part of the Green Brigade, Green Warriors for whatever.
Yes.
If you are supposed to tell him, if you are supposed to give him a suggestion, and we hope to send it across to them, what would be those 3 things that you would tell Chief Minister who's taken over the reins of Kerala? There was a whole lot of people who rallied around him. Irrespective of, the party affiliations, there were a whole lot of people from Kerala who really rallied around him to become the Chief Minister. What would you as experts tell the Chief Minister? What must he do? Let's start with you, Mr. Roxy.
Yeah, so even recently there was discussion with E. Sridharan and all in terms of coastal expressways, metros and all, and there was a discussion that you don't need any environmental approvals anymore for this kind of high-profile work. But if you see what is unfolding in front of us during the last few days, we are again and again reminded that any kind of infrastructure development, whether it's coastal expressway, a metro, or even your house or, Niyama Sabha building, whatever is going to happen in Kerala, any infrastructure development should be based on or after a thorough climate and environment assessment, without which we cannot move forward. Because Kerala is in, we see extremes after extremes happening, whether it's extreme rains, heat waves, humid heat waves, cyclones, all these impacts are happening back to back in Kerala. And this is going to intensify further into the future. So if you are building any infrastructure, it should be after a climate assessment, after an environmental assessment. So that is the single but most important message that I want to give to the Chief Minister of Kerala.
Thomas Lawrence.
Okay. See, in fact, in 2017, when we started this Save Wetlands International movement, the first person we met was the current Chief Minister. So he was very warm, and so we keep in touch with them. But the major thing what I say is the State Environment Impact Assessment Authority. What they are doing is they are just giving clearances right and left without proper assessment, or in certain cases, for example, let me take a Wayanad tunnel. The subcommittee, the chairman of the subcommittee is a friend of mine. I cannot say his name, but I'm telling you, he is only an aquatic biologist. He is the one who has recommended for the Wayanad tunnel. And also the project proponent is a executive engineer, V.K. Hashim from PWD. He has, on Form 1, he has said everything, no, no, no. That is how he is getting the forest, stage 1 forest clearance. With that stage forest clearance, he is coming back to the SCIA and asking for a terms of reference. Then based on that, the very last day, State Environment Impact Assessment Authority's term is over. That day, early, like around 10 o'clock, they have a video conference and recommending this easy. And then of course, they are saying the EC was given by the expert appraisal committee from the central government.
Right.
But based on this recommendation, only this has happened. And the EAC members has never seen the place. There never been a site visit by the EAC members. And they're just, so same thing which is happening in several quarries, which is coming very close to the, National Wildlife Park or National Park. In a small print, they will say, before you start the project, you get the clearance from Standing Committee of the National Board of Wildlife. But nobody will get a clearance from there. They just go back to the panchayat, then they say
Right.
we got an EC. Based on that EC, they are given their activities get started. So
Right.
and there is no recourse.
Right. I think Gujarat to Assam to Kerala, we're seeing, I can't call it unprecedented scenes of devastation. There has been devastation in the past as well. There's been flooding and landslides. But I think it's a recurring cycle. And Gujarat is, in a way, seeing something after a very, very long time, the way it's unfolding in parts of Gujarat. Heart goes out for what's happening in these places. Prayers to the people who are there. And I just hope science and policy and leaders, they really meet up, work this out. This is workable, needs to work if we really have to preserve our state and our country's future. Thank you very much, Thomas Lawrence. Thank you very much, Dr. Roxy Matthew. Thank you.